This laptop's so good, you're going to want to go home and slap your mama. Guys, here it is. Straight from HID Evolution, the MSI GE75 Raider 9SG. Now, because this is from HID Evolution, it does have liquid metal. And after you see all of the performance and thermal testing today, you're going to see why this is probably a necessity for this laptop. Let's take a look inside. Inside we have an 8-core i9-9880H. That's right, 8-core, 16-thread CPU. We have an RTX 2080. This is the 150-watt variant. No max Q here today. We're running dual channel RAM, 32 gigabytes total at 2666. For storage, plenty of options. The first M.2 slot features a 1 terabyte NVMe. It is PCIe 4 lanes only. And the second M.2 slot that is available will use PCIe 4 lanes or SATA. There's also an empty 2.5-inch drive section here, and all of the hardware will come included inside the box. The network interface card is a killer 1550i on an Intel 9560 chip. The battery is a 65 watt-hour 6-cell unit, and on this NVIDIA Optimus-equipped laptop, expect about 3 hours realistically. The power supply is a 280 watt unit. It is relatively compact despite the large size. The weight of this laptop is 5.6 pounds. The lid and deck of the keyboard are made of aluminum, and the bottom panel is plastic. The I/O on the left-hand side features a lock, a LAN port, an HDMI 2.0, a mini DisplayPort 1.2, a USB 3.1, USB Type-C, not Thunderbolt 3, and a separate headphone and microphone jack. On the right-hand side, we have an SD card reader. This is connected via USB 2.0, so it's not fast, but it is there, as well as 2 USB 3.1s and the power port. Opening this laptop with one hand is not going to happen, as the battery is positioned in the back of the unit, making the front of the laptop very light. We have a Windows Precision touchpad, but it is made of plastic. It does have dedicated buttons with nice clicking actuation, and it did not matter if I pressed on the center or the edges, it always registered every time. The SteelSeries keyboard is excellent to use, as they always are. The keyboard deck itself is stiff despite the 17-inch chassis, and the temperatures while gaming, they are definitely within comfort range. The top right of the deck features the power button. Below that is the SteelSeries keyboard RGB button. Pressing this will cycle through many default RGB settings for your keyboard. And below that is the Cooler Boost 5 button. Pressing that will max out your fan at 50 decibels. Now the display is excellent. We have 144 Hz, 3 millisecond response time, and it is over 400 nits of brightness with 100% standard RGB. This is a fabulous panel to use, and for reference, it is CMN175C. It's a Chi-Mei display, and it is really quite top-notch and lovely. Thin bezels, of course, with the webcam placed right on top where we like it. Have a look and listen. 720p webcam and a microphone are located at the top of the bezel. Ghosting here is not too bad. One of the better 720p webcams. Picking up keystrokes. Not an issue with this SteelSeries keyboard. And the microphone is very nice. Not only do I sound relatively decent given it's a built-in mic, but it has this nice feature when you do tend to pick up a lot of ambient sounds. It will drown that out. I will give you an example with maximum fans. Running that, you can still hear my voice quite clearly. Overall, nice job here for a factory built-in webcam and microphone solution. MSI, well done. Per MSI's usual proprietary software, we have the SteelSeries software that will control the keyboard RGB. You do have per key control as well as many other fancy features. This is a very nice, clean, easy to use piece of software. And then you have the Dragon Center for manipulating fan speed, as well as the CPU and GPU characteristics such as wattage and things like that. The enthusiasts out there tend to remove this piece of software from their laptop, and I can assure you doing so here does not hurt performance whatsoever. For these 9th generation 8-core laptop CPUs, Intel is using what is called thermal velocity boost technology. In other words, if you can keep the chip cooler, it should boost a little bit more. Personally, I think wattage and cooling is going to dictate that, not just cooling itself. So let's move forward and see how this i9 works in this laptop. Testing CPU behavior in AIDA64, the short-term power boost will allow the CPU to pull 100 watts when it's under load by itself. You can see the 8-core boost frequency hitting 4 gigahertz at this point, and with our factory undervolt of 067. Maximum temperatures here would usually run into the mid-80s before the 30 seconds was over and our power limit was now reduced to 65 watts. As long as the CPU was under load by itself, it would stay here indefinitely, allowing the temperatures to reach low to mid-70s and a 8-core boost frequency of around 3.4 gigahertz. Should you wish to undervolt at this point, this particular machine was very strong at negative 185 on the core and negative 125 on the cache. At this point, we will get a 8-core boost frequency of around 3.7 gigahertz. Things change a little bit further now once you simultaneously load the CPU and GPU together. Let's take a look at Battlefield 5, for example, and now the CPU will power limit itself to 45 watts. And if you want to regain some of that frequency again, take a look on the right-hand side where I applied that same undervolt. Now, during all of my testing, doing so really didn't yield too much of a performance increase, as we tend to be GPU bound with this RTX 2080. 10 days worth of testing, it did not matter what I did to tune this machine, whether I was undervolting or trying to overclock this or that. The thermals never really changed, the performance never really changed. We have 8 cores and 16 threads and an RTX 2080 at 150 watts to dish out some gaming bliss. And I'm very proud to state that this laptop with liquid metal, but just off the factory HID showroom floor, is going to get you the exact same gaming performance as you can get with a tuned version. So let's move on to Battlefield 5. We are nearly 3 hours into a gameplay, ultra settings, 120 FPS average with a 90-degree field of view. Excellent performance in Battlefield 5. Same thing with Apex Legends. This is probably my 4th game in at this point. We have ultra settings, 110-degree field of view, once again averaging 120 FPS. Not even skipping a beat here. Rage 2, about 45 minutes in, ultra settings, 120 FPS, and then my personal favorite, Overwatch, ultra settings, 100% resolution scaling, 200 FPS average, and I probably played this 3 or 4 hours before taking this clip. What a great gaming laptop. Now when it came to benchmarks, this laptop shipped to me, Firestrike, ran 25,900 on the GPU and 21,000 physics score for the CPU. Should you wish to do a little bit of CPU tuning and apply that undervolt of negative 185 on the core and 125 on the cache, you're going to see a very similar GPU score, but the physics score is going to bump up around 500 to 600 points. Now Cinebench 20 stock around 3,600. The 9750H typically scores around 3,000. The 8750H typically scores around 2,700 here, give or take about 50 points. But if you tune the CPU and undervolt it, as I had mentioned, you're going to score over 4,000 points in Cinebench 20 on this particular 9880H in our Raider today. Now, with the amount of research that I've done, it seems like the best case scenario for this CPU and many other thin and light laptops out there is going to be around 3,000 to 3,100 in Cinebench 20. The reason being is because they are thermally and wattage constrained, versus this laptop has got a little bit more breathing and wattage room to pull, which is excellent. Now, when it came to acoustics, fan acoustics, idle 30 decibels. If I wasn't using Cooler Boost, which has a maximum decibels of 50 dB, then the average acoustics gaming were around 46 to 47 decibels. Fortunately, this laptop with liquid metal and this amazing hardware could still run without Cooler Boost 5 enabled for every game that I have tested in the 15 and 20 hours of thermal testing that I have done on this machine. I did not need to use this, but I prefer to use it for my testing, so you guys have a very strict baseline. So what about that 8-core CPU? What makes it so great? It's not necessarily going to be for streaming, because that RTX 2080 with the new NVEC technology can take care of that with an OBS Studio or Studio Labs. Works very, very nice. Video editing, encoding, this CPU rocks. Over the last 6 months, I have been building up a great deal of information from the 8750H laptops, from the 9758 laptops, as well as this laptop here. And I'm going to put some numbers on the screen right now, and you can take a look and see what I've been up to. I have a particular file that I run through Handbrake at 4K 60 FPS, and all of the laptops that have been in my office for the last 6 months have undergone this test. This is with these laptops stock and tuned, and I take an average. The average 8750H has been able to finish this test in around 13 minutes. The average 9750H has been able to finish this test in around 12 minutes. The slowest sample was an 8750H, and that took 14 minutes and 30 seconds. The fastest 6-core was a 9750H, and that was the Gigabyte Aorus, and it finished it in an astonishing 11 minutes and 10 seconds. This laptop here, stock, 65 watt long-term power duration. The average frequency was around 3.5 gigahertz, finished the job in just under 9 minutes. After I had tuned it, brought it up to around 3.7 and 3.8 gigahertz, same 65 watts, finished that same render 8 minutes and 15 seconds. That is absolutely amazing. For someone like me, this really makes a strong case. I could really get by using 8 cores, as I do video render all the time. Someone like yourself, if you're just gaming, maybe you stick with the 6-core, or maybe you're big on future-proofing. If that's the case, this is a pretty sweet laptop for you. Now, what about the audio? Most gaming laptops are going to run near 80 decibels for my audio tests. This one pulls between 90 and 95. That means that it is a little bit more than twice as loud as most of the gaming laptops out there. That's how this works. Every 10 decibels you move up is twice as loud as that previous 10 decibels, right? So 40 is twice as loud as 30, 50 is twice as loud as 40, so on and so forth. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to pressing the delete key after a reboot or powering on will get you into our BIOS. Nothing fancy in here whatsoever. You can disable hyper-threading and enable BIOS flashback. Other than that, not too much too terribly useful as far as a gamer is concerned. So after spending 10 days with this laptop, I want to view this as somebody who's not me, right? As somebody who would be perhaps in the market to buy a laptop. And I think I would have 2 questions. After seeing everything that I was presented with today, the acoustics, the audio acoustics, the temperatures, just general game performance and strenuous loads, I would pretty much know and feel confident that whatever I saw in today's review from a gaming performance standpoint, it's probably going to play the other games that perhaps weren't shown here just fine too. As after all, an RTX 2080 and an 8-core CPU, if it can't play the games to your satisfaction, then laptops are probably not for you. But that does leave 2 questions that I would definitely want to have answered. One, the most important one in my opinion, is do I need 8 cores? Now, as Bob of all trades, who edits videos and encodes and things like that, that really would help speed up my workflow. But from a gaming standpoint, it's probably overkill for today, and if I were to use like a Streamlabs OBS and stream on this same machine, I'm just going to use the RTX 2080 to offload that work anyway with the new NVEC encoder. And so therefore, For me, I would like to have 8 cores, but if I'm sitting in a room full of people that I know that are interested in gaming laptops, I would need to see a show of hands who needs that level of CPU performance. Do you just need gaming? Do you just need gaming? You just want gaming? Yeah, maybe that's 6 cores for you if you want to save a substantial chunk of change. If you're big into future-proofing, then of course 8 cores should be your cup of tea. Question number 2. HID evolution. Why HID evolution? Well, there's a reason why I wanted to sync up with these guys, and if I were to have my own third-party boutique, being able to offer liquid metal to my customer without voiding the warranty can be very beneficial. The most questions that I get asked on my channel these days are all thermal related questions. People's laptops are overheating. If you put liquid metal on your own machine, you just voided your warranty. So having someone like HID do it can give you peace of mind. But they do more than just that. Besides being able to customize your memory and your storage configuration, we also have the ICC color profile that they shipped. We also have a bloat-free Windows operation installed right there, which is very, very nice. You can also order the upgraded Pixel guarantee. The list goes on. They just offer so much stuff that third-party boutiques are notorious for doing. That's what makes them special. And they work very hard at kind of pleasing the customer. People like that were enthusiasts long before they decided to start a business, and that's what kind of makes them fun to buy from, because it would be like you purchasing a laptop from me. That's going to do it for now. Hopefully you enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching.